I want you to imagine for a moment a cold evening in early December. The wind bites through layers of woolen scarves, and the dim glow of street lamps flickers over cracked sidewalks. It is here, on a porch of peeling paint, that I bring you the story of Lily Monroe, a young girl whose life, though wrapped in hardship, carried a single gift that would humble an entire town. This is not merely a tale of poverty or wealth, but a lesson in the true nature of abundance. Lily lived in the outskirts of the small but proud town of Maplewood, Minnesota. Her home was a small, dilapidated house, leaning on its foundation as if begging for rest. The roof had holes patched with old tin sheets, the windows rattled whenever the wind blew, and the floorboards creaked under every tentative step. Lily's mother worked 3 jobs: as a cleaner in the office downtown, as a waitress in the evenings, and in the early mornings she sold pastries from a little cart outside the town square. Her father had passed away the previous autumn, succumbing to an illness they couldn't afford treatment for. Lily had 2 younger brothers, Mark, who was 8, and Darren, who was 5. Despite her family's hardship, Lily never believed she was less than anyone else. Every morning before the sunrise, she would rise, stretch her back, knead her hands, and help her mother prepare dough for pastries. She would pack sacks with leftover bread crusts to feed sparrows along the sidewalk. And every evening, as she lit one single candle in their small living room, she read by its glow. Books were rare in Lily's life. She borrowed them from the public library when she could, often carrying home pages torn or with missing covers, but she treasured them as if they were treasures, a child's heirlooms. Across town lived the Whitmans, Harold Whitman, his wife Elizabeth, and their daughter, the beautiful, well-mannered Caroline. Their mansion stood on the hill overlooking Maplewood, with tall windows polished to a mirror finish, gardens trimmed like careful art, and a driveway that curved past marble fountains. Caroline went to the finest schools, wore dresses sewn with silk, and spoke in crisp sentences that carried all the advantage wealth could buy. People bowed to her. She bowed back. Each December, for as long as anyone could remember, Maplewood hosted a winter gala in the town hall, a grand affair, chandeliers, music, hors d'oeuvres, and people in tuxedos and gowns. The Whitmans always commanded attention. Lily could see their silhouettes framed by expensive lights through the foggy air as she passed downtown on her way to clean tables at the gala or carry trays sold by vendors. Lily had never been invited, nor had her family been. But each year she watched from afar, standing in the cold behind tall hedges or making her way through alleys to glimpse the glow of celebration on the tall windows, hearing laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. Now, Lily had a gift, not one that cost money, but one that cost something far greater: compassion. She saw people, truly saw them. The old janitor at the library who smelled of stale coffee, the waitress at the cafe whose hands shook as she carried heavy trays, the child who cried because his toy broke at the gala. Lily saw them all. She would quietly comfort them, buy them warm coffee with what little change she had, and offer to read to them from the torn pages of her books. When others walked by, pretending not to notice, Lily paused. She listened, and in her listening, she healed small wounds. For many years, this gift remained hidden, uncelebrated. The rich in Maplewood spoke of success in terms of bank accounts, reputation, and social standing. Kindness, when it showed its face, was a whisper in their parlors, not something for the gallery, not something to be broadcast from marble steps. Then came the turning point. It was 2 days before the gala this particular December. Snow had begun to fall, soft and insistent, layering the streets with a quiet hush. Lily had gone to work at the bakery early, kneading dough, even though her fingers were raw and numb. She was late returning home because she took extra time to deliver a loaf of bread to Mrs. Andrews, the old widow down the lane whose hearth had cooled for lack of firewood. Lily carried the bread in her arms, feeling its warmth seep into her gloves. She thought of her mother, waiting, hoping there would be enough for dinner and that the single candle would burn safely through the night. As she walked into the town square, Lily saw a commotion at the fountain in front of the town hall. A young boy, no older than her brother Darren, stood on the fountain's base, clutching something in his hands, teeth chattering from cold. Around him stood the elite of Maplewood, looking on with amused detachment. The boy was trembling, sobbing. He had lost his toy bear, an old, ragged bear that his father had brought back from overseas many years ago. In the bear's eyes, Lily saw more than cloth and thread. She saw memory, love, and belonging. Harold Whitman, in his tailored coat, stepped forward. Caroline stood beside him, politely polite. Elizabeth rummaged in her evening bag for tissues. The boy told them that his father had sewn the bear's paw after a tear, stitching with thread that matched nothing else. He said it was the only thing left of his father. People offered him new toys. Caroline offered him a plush teddy bear, costing more than a week wages for Lily, mother. The boy shook his head. The more they offered, the deeper his grief became. For him, no fancy toy, no money, no brand new plush bear could replace what that tattered old bear meant. Lily paused, her heart hammering. She was worn, exhausted, cold. She had just walked miles bearing a loaf of bread, her skirts damp with melting snow. But the boy's anguish stabbed through her. On impulse, she set down the bread next to the fountain, crossed the snowy street, and held out her hand. "Would you like this?" she asked the boy softly, cradling a simple homemade bear she had made the previous summer. It was nothing fancy. Patches of felt, mismatched buttons for eyes, remnants of old fabric. She'd made it for herself, but stopped using it months ago. It was worn, the seams slightly loose, the stuffing thin in one arm. The crowd gasped. The elite murmured. Caroline looked away. Harold Whitman frowned. Lily knelt beside the boy. She wrapped his arms around her bear and herself. She said quietly, "I don't have much, but this I can give." She didn't ask for labels. She didn't talk of how much it cost. She offered it with everything she had. The boy's tears didn't stop immediately, but as he pressed Lily's bear against the one he still had, tattered and dear, something shifted. In that moment, Lily's gift was more than a toy. It was empathy made tangible. It was love refusing to be hidden. It was sacrifice without fanfare. Harold Whitman frowned, lips tight. He asked Lily why she gave something so precious. Lily looked up, snowflakes melting in her hair, breath visible. She said, "Because what's rich in me is more than what's rich in wealth." That sentence hung in the cold air like fire, cleansing. The crowd, who had watched only to be entertained, fell silent. Elizabeth's hand trembled. Caroline looked as though she might speak, but no words came. The boy, clutching both bears, finally smiled. A small, fragile smile that warmed Lily's heart. From that day, something changed in Maplewood. Not the mansion, not the gardens, not the clothes. Those remained. But the pace of life shifted. The rich realized that generosity was not measured by how much you own, but by how much you give of your heart. The townsfolk spoke about Lily's action for weeks. They told their children. They wrote in the local newspaper, always subtly, always reverently, about a poor girl whose one gift broke down invisible walls. Lily did not become rich in the world's eyes. She did not move into the Whitman mansion, or buy new coats, or dine at expensive restaurants. Her house was still small. Her mother still baked pastries. Her hands still carried bread dough in the chill morning. But something in the hearts of others had changed. And something in Lily had too. She realized that what she had was enough, that even in poverty, one's soul may possess vast wealth. Thereafter, whenever she worked at the public library, when she cleaned tables, when she walked through the square, people nodded at her, not with pity, but with respect. The old janitor invited her to share his lunch. The cafe waitress paused to ask after her mother. Caroline Whitman once wrote her a letter, admitting that she had seen Lily's kindness and had been ashamed of having offered plush toys instead of listening. That letter meant more than gifts of silk or invitations to galas. The winter after the gala, when snow blanketed the town, Lily was walking home carrying 2 loaves of bread, the usual for Mrs. Andrews and another for a neighbor who was sick. Caroline, in her thick fur coat, overtook Lily one evening in the street. She stopped, handed Lily a beautiful scarf, soft, pale blue, cashmere. Caroline said, "You deserve this." Lily pulled it tight around her neck, warmth flooding her, not just from the fabric, but from being seen. But Lilia's greatest gift had already been given. She had shamed not by anger or bitterness, but by giving where others hoarded. She had demonstrated that the value of a gift is not in its price tag, but in the love behind it. I want you to pause here, listening to this story, letting it settle in your heart. Think of times you saw someone rich in means, but poor in kindness. Think of times you saw someone struggling, yet rich in purpose. Because Lily's story is your story too, and mine, and that of every person who has believed that worth is determined by bank balance rather than by character. What is the moral? That compassion, sacrifice, empathy, these are richer than gold. That a small gift, given freely, can humble cities. That poverty can wear many faces, but wealth without generosity is the poorest state of all. So, what can you take away? First, you have within you something unique, something that no money can buy. A kindness, a gentle word, a listening ear. You may feel that you have nothing to give, but you do. Even if it's only your time, your attention, your love. These shape lives. They build bridges where walls once stood. Second, generosity is not about how much you have. It is about what you choose to give. You can give from abundance or from sacrifice. Lily gave hers from sacrable sacrifice. The homemade bear, the loaf of bread, the warmth she had. It cost her. She gave anyway. That is what shapes character. Third, your actions, however small, ripple outward. Lily could not change the structure of the gala or rewrite the town's social chart, but she shifted something in hearts. In seconds, a boy's tears were soothed. In weeks, people spoke differently. In years, Caroline wrote of regret and change. One act of courage, one gesture of love, changed much. Lastly, I want you to remember this. Being rich in heart is more lasting than being rich in bank. Because the echo of kindness outlives the sparkle of diamonds. The memory of compassion warms longer than the glow of luxury. So now, as you go on with your day, I invite you. Look around. Notice someone whose story remains unseen. Someone whose bear is tattered, whose heart carries weight. What can you offer? It may be small. It may cost you more time than comfort. But if you give with love, you are giving something the world desperately needs. You do not need fame, acclaim, money, or large audiences. The world does not need grand gestures so much as real ones. Not newsletters or announcements, but quiet, repeated acts of love. Not applause, but a hand stretched to another in need. In closing, I leave you with Lily. S words. What S rich in me is more than what S rich in wealth. Let that be your compass. Let that be the measure you hold yourself by. Let that be the gift you offer others without hesitation. Because when you give from the heart, even your poverty becomes a portrait of richness. And you, dear listener, are richer than you know.